You must have really liked that song because I forgot all about that.
Love it. I actually had it on my daily iPod fucking rotation, whatever.
Right.
Old man way of saying it. Hi, Donald.
We got Donald Trump Jr. in studio.
Yes.
I saw your tweet. It's Donut Day or something after this?
Yeah, I had to come in a little bit earlier because my son's Donut Day, and, you got to make your priorities.
Donut Day?
Yeah, I don't miss Donut Day.
What's Donut Day?
I don't know. It's just a bunch of 4-year-olds eating donuts and making their dads fat.
Aw.
You know what my son decided was yesterday?
What's that?
His birthday. And we just went with it.
Just go with it.
How great is that? He decided because it was his Pop-Pop's birthday down there in Philly.
Oh.
So we did a whole, we had to do it on the fucking phone and stuff. But, man, you really feel like you're watching, a TV show.
It's my birthday,
because
too.
we did the birthday phone call, but then we're eating dinner. I go, hey, just leave the phone on. We'll just kind of eavesdrop into your world. You can see what we're doing.
That's cool. It works.
It was kind of cool. But somewhere in his little mind, he decided to make it his birthday because of that yesterday.
No, you know why?
So my wife went with
birthdays are that's a major celebration when you're 4 or 5 years old. I mean, that's the end all be all.
That's the big one.
Yeah. No, he wrapped his own gifts and everything. It was his birthday yesterday. He decided.
Hey,
all this people with kids, it's a madhouse.
It's kind of fun though because it was kind of made yesterday a little more fun than usual. All right.
Yeah, my son would turn 4 this month, and he extended his birthday for 3 days.
Yeah.
So it became a major celebration.
Right.
So
not bad.
Yeah.
Donut Day though.
Why would he just start saying it's birthday on a random day? I wonder who else does that. Your kid's ripping me off.
Oh, happy birthday, Jimmy.
Jimmy only does that when he goes to the
No, he does it every
Japanese
day.
hibachi place, and he just tells them it's the birthday every time, so they bring him out the little,
Oh, we've all pulled that trick, right?
Yeah.
That's a very gentlemanly way of saying it, but I do it when I go to massage parlors.
Hey, it's my birthday.
To give it a little extra for your birthday?
Yeah, you get extra fingers.
A little extra knuckle?
Yeah.
Jesus.
We've all done the dumb, hey, could you bring a dessert? It's his birthday, and he's surprise someone at the table.
Yeah.
Oh, where it's not their birthday.
We all think we're clever because we do this.
Oh, yeah, because everyone's birthday is that night.
Yeah,
you're not that original, but you still think it's funny, and it goes a long way.
It's all embarrassing. Yeah.
How many kids you have?
I got 4.
4?
Jesus.
4, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Wow.
What are the ages now?
Almost 6.
Right.
Just turned 4.
Right.
16 months and 4 months.
Wow.
16 months and 4 months.
Yeah.
I know your last one is right behind ours.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, we're only a week or two apart on the last one.
Yeah, we're late October.
You went 16 months. Wow. They're a year apart?
Yeah, I mean, we have 4, 5, and under, so it's pretty ridiculous. I tell my wife I'm a little disappointed because it's been 4 months since she's been pregnant, and I'm just not used to that. So she's actually thinking about another. I think I'm done.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Wow.
I would imagine.
I have no say in the matter whatsoever, as anyone who has a wife knows.
Right.
Because I'm probably just not willing to go that next step to finalize it.
Right.
My end of that negotiation. So basically, it's totally in her control.
I would imagine you have
man.
a little help around the house, Donald.
No, honestly, not
too much.
Not much. Every once in a while, but we don't have any kind of full-time or live-in. My wife's a machine. She does it all.
Yeah, it's scary to trust other people.
4
Yeah,
kids.
we don't like that, and she's very much like that. So she's
good for her.
This is what she wants to do, and she loves it, and she does an amazing job with it. So it's great.
Me and my brother are barely a year apart. That's just crazy.
Yeah, my youngest and my second to youngest are 12 and a half months apart. So almost Irish twins.
And then my other brother after that is 13 months from my other brother. So my mom was
I'm of the mindset, just get it over with, get them out. They keep themselves busy. It's a lot easier than once they get out of diapers and you go back into diapers. That's a big transition again. So, our theory was just get it out, and be done with it.
I just never minded the diaper thing. I thought that would be a big deal.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
Wasn't big for you?
I don't do much of it because.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
No. By the way, I have no issue with it. I'm not that. I used to think I'd be that guy.
But do you hand off the baby? Or at that point, do you go, all right, I'll change it?
It's a woman's work.
Go for the pass.
Right.
I'll do it. I don't have any, when it's your kid, it's a whole lot different than what you think it's going to be. It's just not a big deal. But, I tend to just give it back. And, listen, I work a lot also. So, my wife's not one of those wives like some of my friends where I come home after a 15-hour day and she's like, okay, well, I've been with the kids all day, so now it's your turn. She recognizes that I was breaking my ass. And she's, so she does most of that.
I do want to state that other people's baby shits is horrendous. But when it's your own, for some reason, something in your head, I guess, makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's different.
But then you smell someone else's baby shit.
Oh, man, it's a nightmare.
Good God.
It's a nightmare.
Good God. Huh.
Would you change a baby?
Never.
I wouldn't either, man.
No.
Yeah, but you know what? Every guy I know says that until they have a baby, they talk so much
But I was
crap,
never going to change
and
someone's
then like 2 minutes
baby.
later, they're changing a baby. I used to say that, by the way. I was like, it's just not going to be my thing. You know, we had our first, and like literally 20 minutes later in the hospital, the nurse is like, you know, the baby made poo. Do you want to learn? My wife's like, don't do it. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
So I lasted about 15 minutes with my theory of I'm not going to change a baby.
Weird.
My nephew is 18, and my sister just
You're
had another
changing
baby.
your nephew's 18-year-old diaper?
Your 18-year-old.
It's a really weird thing. He'll just wear it, but he wears it on his head. And I'm like, you're doing it wrong. And he just thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
He's
It's just so much easier than going to the bathroom.
Well,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
Be like, I
Just
can just go
spits
right
into it.
here. Like, why?
Yeah.
That's a big age difference. 18 and how old?
5 months, 6
5 months, 6
Yes,
months.
like
So you're right
Oh,
behind.
yeah.
That one's right behind our babies, too.
It's really bizarre. Like, why would you do that? Now you got to start all over. It just worked
Wow,
out
after
that way.
That is a
18
nightmare, man.
years.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
Like, you're ready to get them out of the house. You're about to start your life over. And it's
then-
like,
Right
here
back.
you go.
Nope.
Because that's such a binary thing, man. Once you flip that switch, like you're there for 20 years. It's not.
20-year investment. Yeah.
The first few months is a nightmare.
See,
And
I
my
find-
daughter's just becoming, I call it aware, where she's starting to like move around and check things out. She smiles, she recognizes you now finally.
Yeah.
But the first few months, it's all just zombie land.
Yeah, I'm not big into the first even like year or two. It's once they start
Really?
being able to. I can't relate.
Oh, you're just not a nice guy.
No. Listen, listen. If you follow my Twitter feed, I'm always doing something with my kids, but I need some back and forth.
No, I'm surprised you're saying 2 years, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
like my
listen,
son,
maybe it's a little extreme, but like that's
around
when they
18
start,
months is when I really start digging my son.
Okay, but yeah, when they're starting to walk and do that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
then you
yeah.
can start playing with them a lot better. But that first year is painful, man. I can't do it.
Yeah, the first year was a little rough, but first 4 months especially.
But like
for
now
me.
with my he's like my little sidekick, man. We just go everywhere together when
Yeah.
I'm, on the weekends and stuff. So it's
Nice.
It's a lot different.
A little mini-me.
Oh yeah.
You get to do any fly fishing, any hunting? What are you at?
Yeah,
at these days?
all
Ice
this hunting
fishing?
season's over. No, I'm not a big ice fisherman.
No?
Man. The idea of sitting there and just doing nothing.
Well,
I need
freezing.
a little bit more active outdoor, activity. So season's going to start, pretty soon, April 1st, basically, and I'll start heading up or hitting upstate like Lake Ontario trips and stuff on the weekend. Get out there. So.
Oh, you go
I
all the
know
way
you
up
have
to-
the open invite up, so I'm not gonna keep going for that because it's freaking embarrassing at this point. Like talking about, I'll call you. I feel like a jerk off.
I
Like,
had a kid
Dad,
like
I'll
you.
go with you. I'll go with you, and then he never calls. I feel like I'm being stood up. It's not.
come
So,
on.
when
No,
you have
no,
the
no, no,
open
no, no.
invite, I'm not gonna pursue this. If you want to
Oh,
pursue it,
man.
just let me
Can
know.
I
Come
defend
stay at my
myself?
place.
What are you doing, Opie?
He wanted to take me to Montana. I can't just go off to Montana.
I'd roll.
It would roll.
Absolutely.
Trust me, I
Well,
wanted to go.
you'd like it too, and go do some prairie dogging and like long range shooting out there.
Oh, yeah, I'm not a big hunter. I love shooting,
Yeah.
but I'm not a big hunter.
Yeah, I can't shoot
Yeah,
animals.
I don't mind.
I'm not one of those guys that say that you shouldn't either. I just know I can't
No
do
one
it.
invites
To
me
each
to
his own.
Montana. No one invites me.
Oh, Jimmy.
Because you yelled and screamed how stupid fly fishing is.
It's true.
It's not to be invited.
So you can hate on us for a week. That's
yeah.
gonna be great. I can't wait. Thanks.
And then I'm thinking like,
I just want to be invited.
I was going to be last man in. It's all his friends that he obviously has known forever. And I'm like, man, I will look like the biggest fucking dork if I don't fit in.
Well, you
You
have
don't fit in. By the way, if you
in.
wouldn't fit
It's
in,
not
I probably
school.
wouldn't invite you because I wouldn't
Right.
do that to you because then I feel awkward about
I hate
having
to
like
tell
the
you
one
this.
guy that's not fitting in, and then you
Right.
I hate to
since
tell
you're
you
my
this.
friend, I got to deal with you. Like I don't want to do that.
We
crap,
were
so-
brought up a little differently, sir. I was brought up very poor.
Oh.
What's your point?
I don't know. We might not fit in. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
You gotta-
You
listen,
make
Hold
inroads.
on,
a lot of my
explain what
friends
this
are
is.
blue collar
Yeah, Jimmy
guys.
will
Just because I
explain.
was brought up not that way, like I was still brought up with like
I'm just-
a good
I-
understanding of the other side.
I'm really
because my
just-
Eastern European grandparents. I mean, I've gone
I'm
through
really
this with
just.
you guys before.
I'm really just
You're
joking with you.
dealing with-
I know I know that you work your ass
Let
off
me
and
explain
you've
Molly
made your own
Ringwald.
way.
Let me explain Molly
Molly
Ringwald and Pretty in Pink. She's afraid that she's going to go away with you and all the rich kids won't like her.
You know what? Jimmy's right.
But honestly, like
It's more about me and
time,
not-
like my friends aren't necessarily.
That's funny.
Of that demo. I got a lot of just blue collar. Listen, because the hunting and fishing and stuff like that. I'm sort of. I know it's hard to believe, and I get it if you think I'm exaggerating it like a lot, but
No.
I can fit in both sides of the spectrum.
No,
I can
you've
do
been-
redneck pretty well.
No, you've been in here enough that we know what you're all about.
Yeah.
Where in Ontario do you fish?
Well, not Ontario, but like basically Pulaski, New York, like Lake Ontario tribs for the steelhead. And
Oh, you
big
go
brown trout.
steelhead.
Yeah.
Steelhead they're nasty, man.
Yeah, they're fun to catch. And just, just break up the year.
One big head muscle, basically.
Yeah.
They'll give you a fight.
Yeah. It's all about that tug, they pull. Not like your kind of tug.
Oh, no. Not the type with an apology.
Different kind of tug.
Really?
Jim got all excited when I said tug. You don't saw him light up.
You don't need Visine and a lawyer?
You ever do tuna fishing?
I have.
I'm obsessed with that dumb show, Wicked Tuna.
I have.
And I think it's Nat Geo.
Yeah, I mean, not so much that kind. I mean, I'll go chase them with a fly rod and stuff like that also. So
is that a long day, though?
It can be, man. Some of that deep sea stuff is,
it just
it
takes
can be
forever
great,
to get
or it can be like
something
standing in a cold shower tearing up $100 bills. It's
really.
It can, you're sitting there. Some days are. I mean, I had a day this summer. I was invited with a friend to go down to the Dominican Republic, and we caught. I think we went like 7 for 9 on blue marlin, which is like unheard of in a day. So that was the most exciting day ever. But I was also with like a tournament captain. That's all he's done for 25 years. He was like, yeah, well, that was like the top 3 day of my entire career. So I was like, so basically there's zero chance I'll ever have something like that again. So I basically retired from deep sea.
Right, yeah.
I'll stick with the fly rod and inshore stuff. And
I can't wait to do a little more fly fishing. I really do want to go back up there.
Like I said, man, just shoot me an email.
Really?
See?
But then I feel like it's an empty invite.
What?
We have weird, like...
he's a real pain in the ass. Like, listen,
I'm just being honest with you.
Like 6 times, 7 times, or whatever. And like each time I'm like, no, seriously. And like,
we did exchange
my
numbers.
free time is precious to me. Like, I work hard, but I play hard too. And I would not sacrifice a weekend to babysit your ass if I didn't really want you to be there. Like, I'm not doing this for fun. Like, I'm not one of those like false invite guys. It's just not what I do. Like, I probably should do stuff like that for business, but life's too short to hang out with people you don't actually want to hang out with.
This is what it's based on. We've had Quentin Tarantino in here.
Yeah.
It's like, next time you're out in L.A., man, look me up. Love to, have you over. We'll do, he does movie night or whatever. I'm like, that's awesome.
Never looked him up.
Because I don't know how to get a hold of him.
Fishing is different. Like, fishing and outdoor stuff is different. Like, it's a guy's thing. You get together. Like, it's not.
No, but we didn't exchange numbers.
Jerry Cantrell, I saw, he goes, hey, we should get together. And, I'm like, all right, yeah, if you want here, text me later. We'll go down. And he did. Well, he texted me later. We went out, and it was like, I don't really know him that well, but it was a genuine thing. And I haven't seen him since. Did you hang out? Yeah, a couple years ago.
Well, I went out to L.A., and Greg Brady did the same thing, and we did exchange numbers. So I'm out in L.A. I go, hey, you said to call when I'm here. He goes, oh, great, come on up. So I went way up into Bel Air, this ridiculous house overlooking like everything, literally everything with an infinity pool. It was an amazing spot. Turns out it was his wife's money. She was an international banker. I thought it was Brady Bunch money.
That Branson, Missouri show money didn't do it? No?
And he's the coolest guy. We've known each other a bunch of years. And long story short, I brought a friend with me just because I felt uncomfortable just showing up at Greg Brady's house. And
Greg Brady.
And I saw him and his wife having a conversation near the refrigerator because I kind of showed up unexpected. And I basically had Greg Brady's leftovers. They were trying to figure out what they could serve me in the fucking refrigerator. But we really had a great night.
You should call in advance,
nice.
like a couple days. Like, I'm going to be in L.A. on Tuesday. Are you around?
I'm not that guy. I'm last minute guy.
No, but I mean, that's how I do. Yeah. I never call last minute. Give them a couple days, and if they want to see me, they'll see me.
Yeah. By the way, I used to be like that also, but I've sort of gotten over it. And like sometimes when someone gives you that invite, even if you don't know them, like, say, you know what? Screw it. Like, I'm going to put out that phone call. I'll make the effort. And honestly, I've made like a lot of great friends, like people that are now like very close friends that I probably would have never gotten to know had I just been you just got to pick up the phone sometimes. People are so afraid of kind of networking or whatever, and it's honestly one of the best things you can do in life is just get over that like fear of rejection. Like, what's the worst thing they can say? Yeah, sorry, I can't do it. Okay.
I wanted to go to Montana, but my wife was pregnant at the time. The kid was a little younger. It was just a weird time. So I think I'm finally out of the woods and I could start doing some things again.
Well, it's a good time if you want to go. We'll probably go again this year.
To Montana again.
Yeah. Well, listen, we do it like, because it's hard for me to take a week off also. So we'll go out like, Wednesday night, fish Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning, back on, and just back, you know?
Do we get the
power fishing?
Do we get the private plane on this one?
Nah, man. We're not. If I'm not, damn it! DJT's not a big outdoorsman, and if I'm not with DJT, I don't fly private. It's sort of.
No, you've said that on our show. You don't fly private.
Yeah, no. Everyone assumes that. They're like, "Oh, your travel schedule's not so bad because you're flying private." I'm like, "Yeah, right. I'm not even flying business class usually."
You fly coach?
Yeah, usually.
Wow.
You know what? I sort of had a principle like when I was young, it was sort of easy. And then as I got older, and even with work, it was sort of like, well, you're flying sometimes with a whole team of younger guys, for business. I'm not flying them business class. It's just, wasteful. But I have a hard time just myself being like, okay, even if I'm senior or whatever, like, putting them in the back and sitting in the front. Because I was used to that, like with my mom, like, she'd be in first class. I was like, that kind of sucks.
It's like, damn, what's going on up there?
As we were kids, and so
you're looking at three guys.
If I'm going to make them do it, I'm going to do it myself. And
you're looking at three guys that absolutely agree with you.
What?
I have not sat in a coach
I've seen that for Sam
in years.
I would make my girlfriend sit and fucking coach if there was only one seat.
We refused to fly coach to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah, I do a lot of international flights that way.
We refused. And they almost had to cancel the trip because we were being divas about it.
Yeah, it's just honestly, it's just a principle thing for me. And I'm like, just whether it's like the Scottish half of me, I'm just naturally cheap. I feel like a moron. Like a 2-hour flight's $6,000 versus like $800. Right. I feel like an idiot. Like I'm just going to be reading a book anyway. You just feel stupid spending the money. And I can't. It's just the way I was brought up.
Wait. Scottish people are known to be a little cheap.
Apparently, that's what I hear. Yeah,
thrifty.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Thrifty, whatever.
Oh yeah, Scotsman.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Your dad was on the phone yesterday.
I heard that, and I was like, oh boy, because I've literally had one of those weeks where I've been going like 8 till midnight working on a deal because it's one of those deals that if people leave and go their respective ways, like it'll never get done. Yeah. So I've just kind of institute the lockdown policy. So I have no idea what's going on in the world in 4 days. But I saw on my Twitter feed that someone said he was on yesterday. So I was like, oh boy, now I'm going to get ambushed. I have no idea what's coming. I know based on history. That could,
we got over that.
That interview could go either way.
We got over that.
No,
we had a misunderstanding.
I was coming back to the office later on. He's like, "Yeah, you're fired for going on with those idiots."
He was hilarious. Man.
He did say he would never go on our show again, but we got past that.
Oh,
that's good.
Yeah, we got past that a few years ago.
I'd like to think I smoothed over those waters.
Probably did. Who knows?
It
was a misunderstanding.
He's been in those situations with plenty of people over the years. It happens.
I'd say there's some.
He's a very dynamic personality, and
has he always talked his mind like that? Like he doesn't care.
He doesn't
man.
care. Well, and by the way, I think he's earned that right.
No, I love it.
And
I absolutely love it.
And if everyone was honest with themselves, they would do it, and we'd be a better society for it. There's just so much caging, and so many people won't say what they really think, so they act on like sort of false actions. It's just inefficient and a waste. It's ridiculous.
Do you ever win arguments with him when you were growing up? Because it seems like he's a very dominant, bright guy, and if you're not attached to him, it doesn't really matter. But when you're living in that world, it's probably difficult. I mean,
it's actually a really good question because I probably spent a lot of time in my life trying to. It's not my personality to sort of back down, and I think in the grand scheme of things, like some fights are worth having and others aren't, and I probably spent a lot of my life like having stupid fights just for the sake of winning. So yeah. It's hard to win those battles, and sometimes you just got to realize what it is. And so, working for him and with him, sometimes it's difficult. But I think I used to try to prove a point because I was working on a deal. I knew whatever it was, and perhaps I had more information. But you're giving it to him, and it's you just don't do that in a group of 20 people because he's not going to be shut down. In front of that, people, at the same time, I'm not doing him a service as an employee. Not telling him what I really think. You just got to pick a time and a place, and you got to do it not in front of everyone else, so he doesn't have to have that. No, I'm the big dog. This is how we're going to do it. Almost to prove the point. So
don't ever go against the family in front of him.
Exactly. No, but there's a lot of truth to it. You know what I mean? And so I think I probably did a lousy job of that growing up, and I've sort of figured it out, and because of that, have just garnered a much better relationship and with it.
Well, this Celebrity Apprentice looks good.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
Oh, yeah, the cast of All-Stars. It's all the All-Stars.
Right.
Yeah, well, also what it is everyone's been there, done that, so you don't have like the first 6-episode lull where people are trying to be nice and they're just like, we've been...
Out for blood immediately.
Oh, they jump right in because they understand the game.
This is not their first rodeo. They're just like, boom. Yeah. There's some good surprises early.
Penn Jillette was in here recently. He's a good friend of the show. He said that the boardrooms are like 2.5 hours long.
Sometimes longer. Like you don't see it in the show. It's hard to translate it over. And like I wish they could do like an outtakes reel because there's some shit that goes on in there it's just amazing. The problem it has no relevance towards what ends up happening in the end. So it's sort of with a limited amount of airtime, you got to cut it.
Yeah.
But those things are intense, and they just go like they don't stop. None of it's scripted. It's just like free flowing crazy.
But so I would love to see that. There's got to be a place for that.
I would think
online
so.
Or something.
There's some stuff. Like I said, I'd say 50% of the best stuff ever on The Apprentice happens, and it ends up on the cutting room floor because there's just not enough time.
And there's no way to present it.
It's just not.
How did Gene Simmons behave when he was on? Because Gene likes to talk and Gene likes to dominate, but in that situation in the boardroom, you really can't. So how did he act on the?
I had a good time with Gene. I have a lot of respect for him. He's a very bright guy, everything like that. But he in his own world, he's a big dog, but you can't be the big dog when you're a contestant on a show. And I think he tried to show that, and that's why he got fired. By the way, there's no question in my mind. You didn't want to get rid of him, but there's a point where you take a stand. It goes against everything that the executives and everyone else said, and it's like, come on, we'll give you the out. Try to we just want to fire the guy that no one cares about, Gene. We'd love to keep you on this show, but
that's
you
what your
can't do
dad
it,
was
or it
saying
stops being
yesterday.
real.
Yeah, your dad said that yesterday. The exact same thing. It's about Dice. Who doesn't want Dice running around like an asshole on the show? It's very entertaining. Yeah. But he said if they would have kept him and gotten rid of somebody else at that time, people would have been like, wait a minute.
Yeah, you can't do it. And I would have loved to have him on there just creating havoc. And I thought he was a great guy. I was disappointed to see him go, but the show has to have credibility.
What was his deal? He didn't want to make the cupcakes or the cookies or something?
I don't make the cupcakes.
Was it cupcakes?
Well, but by the way, also, don't kid yourself. The show is intense, man. These guys work 20 hours a day.
Right.
It's a lot of personalities. If you're not ready for that, people say, it's a game show. We'll go on for an hour. We'll do a little bit, and it's, we'll get a soundbite in or two. It's not that way. It's intense, and so there's people that get on, and they just cannot keep up, man. They're freaking exhausted. They literally just give up. And so there's an element I've seen of that, and there may have been some of that with Dice, where it's just holy crap, I bit off a bit more than I can chew. I got to get out, and maybe that's the way I get out, by taking and you've seen guys basically quit because they're just can't handle it.
I'm sleepy.
I need a nap. I'm a little tired.
I'm tired over here.
He was on what, 1 episode, 2 episodes?
I think he was one of the first guys gone, right?
First one gone.
We loved it.
He would have been great too.
Oh, he would have been awesome. He's literally that's one of the ones that disappointed me. I was like,
yeah.
How's Dennis Rodman, man?
Honestly, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. I had some fun with him.
Is he still having a problem with the drinking?
He seemed like he was actually getting his stuff together. I think it probably, definitely, better than the last time. But
okay.
But it's sort of the problem is, I think, that's sort of his thing. He's got to be the wild and crazy party guy. Otherwise, there's not. That's what he's made himself. That's his image for the last 10 years. You try to remake yourself now. It's a bit hard.
Yeah, but why wouldn't he want to be healthy?
Well, because I think he probably generates a lot of income by being a clubbing guy and all that stuff, and it's sort of hard to put yourself in that environment.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're going to quit that, you just got to get the hell out.
You feel like you're losing a piece of yourself too. I won't be me without whatever unhealthy thing it is.
But I feel like he has enough money at this point. No,
I would think so, but you never know, man. You see that with a lot of the guys, and my dad's big sports guy. He's friends with a lot of the athletes, and you see these guys that when they're playing, they have these big contracts, man. But that burn rate is
look, we don't.
They blow it, and you don't know how. You had $100 million, and now you have nothing.
We don't,
and it happens every time. People take advantage of them. They're not particularly financially savvy.
We had one in here recently, and we don't know for sure. We should say that, but Dr. J,
yeah.
I'm like, man, this is a guy that should be set for life, and maybe he is, but he doesn't have the type of money the other athletes that came after him that were just,
Well, I think it's probably a little different today, man. The salaries are just different.
Yeah.
The fame is probably the same, but it's the compensation today is just insane. Now that doesn't mean they don't spend equally insane, and end up in the same place. But you don't see many guys that 50 years later, 30 years later, they're still doing great.
Right.
Very few guys transition to be businessmen effectively.
Yeah. We felt like he had, some money and a good life, but it wasn't anything you would expect from someone like Dr. J that completely changed the sport and was the guy for so long.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I think he just missed out on the really, really big salaries.
Correct.
But look at, what's his name from Boston? Just one dumb...
Kurt Schilling.
Kurt Schilling. It's like you put everything into one thing.
Oh, God,
How do you blow $50 million?
Trying to make a video game.
Honestly, and you see it. Listen, in business, you see that deal. It's like, wow, it's that's going to make me a billionaire. It's
God.
If it were that easy, and I think that, that's probably becoming like an American thing. It's hey, what's the easiest way to make $1 billion? As though it was so simple. It's really not. And I see that in the business world. Everyone likes to say, well, if I had $1 million, I could turn it into $1 billion. It's not that easy. And so you got a lot of guys that have always had their asses kissed, and they're telling how great they are, and then you have a good salesman telling them what they can do with that, and it's it's easy to get suckered into kind of going all in, like you know.
What are you working on these days? Where are you flying to?
A bunch of deals all over the place. Going back and forth to Scotland a lot for that golf course we have going over there. Spending a lot of time in India. A lot of international deals. Probably picking up a lot more of those. We picked up Doral down in Miami, the golf course.
Did you really?
Yeah, we bought that last year. We got the big PGA tournament there this week. This week coming. So we're keeping.
I broke my wrist at Doral.
Really? Drinking or playing golf?
No, I'm not a big drinker, actually. During our time off, Rich Voss set us up, and we got to play Doral.
Oh, was that where he fucking...
Huh?
Was that where he launched the ball and hit you on the wrist?
No, I broke my hand because of Rich Voss, too. A slight fracture in my left hand.
Well, how did you break your wrist playing golf?
So we go down to Doral. They have, 3 courses, I think?
5.
Is it 5? Okay. And we played 2. We might have played 3. Every day we played a different one. And we got to play the one they actually do the PGA on.
Yeah.
And they were getting ready for the tournament, so they didn't have any of the fresh sand in the sand traps. They had some. But it was hard pan underneath, and I didn't know that. It took a full swing in the fucking sand trap.
Wow.
I think it was the first or second hole, and I broke my wrist or my hand. Something was going on.
But it just go dong.
Oh, dude.
And that can be painful.
So then I'm like, I say broke, but I never went to a doctor.
Okay.
But I'll tell you this much.
You couldn't play.
The next tee, just hitting the ball, like Ant said, the vibrations was fucking brutal. So here we are on this awesome course where the PG gets to play, and I had to hack it around the course. Like, I barely could fucking hit the ball.
Well,
every shot hurt like a motherfucker. And then I had to take off about 4 or 5 months from playing golf before it actually healed properly.
Do you play a lot?
I used to play a lot, but
if you want to get out, we have a lot of courses in the area that are quite good. Also, another invite that he will not take me up on, but that's okay.
You're kidding me?
One of these days, and by the way, you guys are more than welcome.
I'm
I don't know if I want Ant one of our courses.
Wait.
The beer cart has that much beer, but
my father-in-law is a big golfer too. We'll play that one across the river tomorrow. That place is supposed to be amazing.
Yeah, Bedminster in Jersey.
Yeah, that's the big exclusive one. That's the main one, right?
Yeah, we have a bunch in the area. I mean, we have one right outside Philly. We have one in Colts Neck. We have one in Westchester. We have one in just north of Westchester. Putnam.
What's the one near Liberty? Liberty Island and all that.
Well, the pond would be good for you, Opie.
Yeah.
The pond. The pond's for you. But
Scotland, that's your deal?
Yeah.
So that's your baby.
Yeah, that's my baby. That thing's been great. I mean, it's the highest rated course to ever open. It was rated 7th in the world just before anyone had ever even played it, because we just got the greatest piece of land ever.
And who designed it for you?
Martin Hawtrey, who's probably not an architect you'd know, but he's the guy that in England for links courses,
he's the guy.
The Royal and Ancient, that's like their guy. Any open championship, any open venue, when they're doing some stuff, fixing it up, he's their guy. And so just between him and my father, really, my father's good at that stuff, and he really's got an eye. So between sort of that traditional links and then my father's sort of, how do we make it bigger, better, tougher? We came up with something that's just ridiculous.
I have a golf question for you. We speculated why Augusta let women in. As somebody that owns a lot of courses, what do you think that really was that what finally broke them?
It's political.
It was. Yeah.
I mean, come on. I love the old school. I'm probably an old school guy myself, but it's a lot harder for these guys to get away with it. They have sponsors. They make a lot of money from the Masters. Like, you have sponsors and basically saying, we don't want women, we don't want minorities, we don't want this. It's like not so easy. Like when you're a Rolex or whoever the hell sponsors them, it's kind of like, I don't know. Can you do something about it? So they'll let in water a couple
probably
people.
Was sponsors then. I figure sponsor.
I don't know. It's not like they need the money. I mean, that's a...
They felt a lot of pressure. But
they got a lot of pressure.
Our point, because we talk about this from time to time on our show, we're not begging to get into women's clubs and stuff. Why do they have to be where we are when we're doing our thing like that?
It's the way of the world, my
friend.
That's how it's work.
And that sounds male...
Everyone wants what... but to go back is almost ridiculous. Could I play in the WNBA because I'm not good enough to play in the NBA? No way. But if there's someone who's a woman basketball player and she was good enough and that,
But does it sound male chauvinist to say that in this day and age, or is it something?
It does, but it is by the definition of the word, but it's ridiculous that we say that because people can't help.
If women want to be empowered, why wouldn't they go off and there's a ton of powerful women out there and start their own stuff and say fuck them? We don't give a fuck about them. We're gonna start our own traditions and our own clubs just for women.
Because it's a lot easier to do it the other way, and break balls, and they'll eventually win because that's the way. That's where we're going. We're just becoming a different society, and for better or worse.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't bother me if I see a woman on the course. It's just weird, though, that they desperately want to be. Yeah, but there's
something still cool. I mean, for me, the old school, like, if you have a guy's place, you have a guy's place. You know, like,
right.
You don't know. I have a hard time letting go of that. Maybe I'm not going to have a choice, but, like,
the problem with
I'm kind of a guy's guy, so it's,
they complain and they fuck it up. Like I don't like being around just men. I love when women are around, but they complain. Yeah, these harassment, and that's why we hate them around, because they stop us from doing what we want to do, and they complain.
Yeah, and in the clubhouse, guys just want to be guys, and they want to talk about stuff, and they don't want to have to. And you start including too many other things, and all of a sudden you're basically having a boring freaking conversation. Right. And by the way, even if you're just talking shit, and it's not really true,
what
but
it mostly is.
There's nothing worse than like starting to tell a joke, and then and you're like, okay, it just kind of screws up that punchline.
Right, yeah. Because it mostly is just bullshitting around. It's not like, I demand to be able to hang up, nude women pictures. It's just usually just bullshit.
Joking and
that you're talking, making jokes that people... It's the things you never expect, and then HR or someone will come up and
don't even start, because I mean I'm of that mindset, and I'll get in trouble, and I'm sure I've been on the show enough. I'm sure I'll get myself in trouble one of these days. But if you can't handle some of the basic stuff that's become a problem in the workforce today, like you don't belong in the workforce.
Yeah,
like you should go, maybe. Teach kindergarten. I think it's a respectable, position. But
and those little kids
you can't be negotiating billion-dollar deals if you can't handle Well, listen, there's a place where you have to draw the line. But today, this stuff that you get in trouble for, it's like I wouldn't even think about
Donald, our stupid world. It's radio, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If we want to just look at a naked girl on this computer, watch. We can even do it to just show you what happens. Everything gets shut down. If we go, hey, what do we want to see real fast?
Well, you have to, then the curtains have to be shut.
Bunch of naked men in the shower. Let's
That's okay, then. That's okay.
Look, because they heard already. Look, turn around.
You got to close the curtain.
Close the curtain.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Look.
I'm watching people just for the people. They're actually closing the curtains.
They're on high alert. They're not doing it to show the bid off. They're doing it because they really believe we are actually now. Well, we are doing it officially.
Oh, listen, that's not bad. I mean, I see some. Yeah.
But
wouldn't it be funny if he showed tits and then Donald sued?
I feel harassed.
But Donald,
this is my get-rich-quick scheme. I'm now suing you guys because I feel uncomfortable. And by the way, that's what happens in the world. I can play along, I can be fine, and then I can decide randomly. You now have crossed the line, even though I've been going with.
But this is not a stuffy workplace. We're in radio, where it's it's known to be a little more edgy and this and that, right? And
by the way, if you guys
still got to play
edgy,
this game.
You'd be off the air.
Yeah, then we'd just be
you'd be PBS
radio show.
But who would be offended if they walked by our studio in a radio world and saw that we might be looking at something a little crazy on our computer?
Apparently, someone, because the serious people closed the curtains of the studio.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
Isn't that wild? They're on high alert. I mean, someone is listening to the show.
So they actually pay for an employee to sit there to basically listen to see if this is
was scared. They scared the shit out of me.
I mean, that's where this world is going. I mean, think about that stuff. I mean, it's
all right, open the curtains.
So frustrating.
Claustrophobic. I hate when the curtains are closed.
Yeah, open the goddamn curtains.
Yeah, I don't like them.
Yeah, it is. It's gotten way out of hand. Political correctness, inability to speak your mind. I mean, we like for people to be honest, but then the second they are, they get crucified.
Yeah, no, everything. I mean, you look at some of the stuff going on in the business world these days. Look at Hostess. I mean, they went bankrupt because if they made Twinkies and Wonder Bread in the same factory and delivering them to the same store, they had to have two separate trucks, two separate drivers to bring the same product from point A to point B because of unions and this kind of nonsense. It's like, of course they're going to go bankrupt. How do you do these things? And this is and I see it because I spent a lot of time working in Europe and Scotland. That's where we're going, and it's impossible to do anything there. It's literally, there's places that in the world that you just don't want to do business because it's so much bureaucracy and so much nonsense. I mean, we were over there, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago, and people are moving a radiator to put it into a spot. And there's the radiator, it was a small one, it's probably 20 pounds, right? And I'm watching them, and they have these straps on, and they're tied up, and there's two guys lifting a 20-pound radiator, and they're moving it 1 inch at a time, putting it down, waiting 5 seconds, and they're counting. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a law that they can't actually pick the stuff up. They have to have two people doing it. They can't. They're moving it 10 feet, 20 pounds. I'm like, guys, let me save you 45 minutes. I just picked it up and I put it where it needs to go because this is how ridiculous we've gotten as a society.
What country was it?
This was in Scotland.
Oh, Scotland, because I wasn't sure if it was India or Scotland.
But that's where we're getting with the regulation. The government knows everything, and you just can't be efficient anymore, and it's hard to,
How much of that have you had to deal with on job sites here, like where the unions are kind of shutting you down, or do you use non-union labor, or do you care about the rat in front or no?
By the way, listen, we use, because when you're doing big stuff, it's sort of hard not to in New York, right?
Right.
That said, when I have friends that are in similar businesses, if the rat's in front of the building, I commend them for doing a good job because they're probably doing it efficiently. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And listen, I'm all for everyone making a good wage and making a good living, but you can't put in rules that are just, where you need two guys doing a job that one guy can do, and they have to be there for a minimum of 4 hours. And I saw this when I was young, just my first real job. I was working in Atlantic City as a dock attendant, and there was a Coast Guard station on the point there. And I got to know some of the guys because I was like 14, living away from home. I was hanging out with them. It was, and there was one day they had a water outage. So they called the plumber. The plumber comes up goes to the water main, but there was a piece of plywood over the water main. So they're like, okay, here, you go in. He's like, no, I can't touch it now because there's a piece of plywood over it. It wasn't like a door or
guy or something.
We need the carpenter here. And because it's a major water main, we need the master carpenter in the whole area and his assistant. The problem is the guy was on vacation. So these guys are in the Coast Guard, right? They're breaking their ass. They're protecting our country, and they can't get water because the freaking union, plumber won't even do them a solid.
Is that
because
what the union was supposed to be there for?
Yeah,
is that what the initial?
The notion has changed, and I talk about the car companies in America, and when what was it, General Motors, like $6,000 of every car that they make, of like a $30,000 car, goes to pay people who no longer work there.
Yeah.
I don't know how you compete in the world. And people complain about, American manufacturing's disappearing. It's like, of course it is, because someone wants to make $100 to do something that someone somewhere else will make $1 doing.
And the consumer doesn't want to
begrudge them the $100, but you can't expect.
But the consumer doesn't want to buy a car that costs that much money when they can buy a comparable vehicle that isn't built with this unbelievable labor cost.
The devil's advocate thing, and I agree that unions have become annoying.
The devil's advocate.
They should make lists.
Yeah, the commie hippie over here.
No, but the union a lot of times, and again, they're very irritating, but a lot of times the companies don't want to lose profits. So instead of paying that guy the 100 and keeping 1,000 for themselves, they want to pay him 20 and keep 1,080 for themselves. So the guy is the guy is just like a smaller corporation. You know what I mean? That's all the individual is. It's greedy as at times the corporations can be. But we look at the unions and go, look at these greedy fucks. But a lot of times they were driven to be that way.
By the way, management is definitely at fault for some of these things. But again, there's a point where things are rational and there's a point where things are not rational. Okay, the hostess example I used. You're delivering two products that are going from point A to point B, and they have to be taken by separate trucks, separate drivers, and that's part of the mandated stipulations. That's freaking ridiculous.
What was the point to that? What was that?
Because the union basically says we want more Teamster drivers or whatever, Baker,
there's a way to get some more guys working.
And they've been managed to cram this down their throats for a long time, and then they wonder there was mismanagement and they spent a couple bucks the wrong way. It's but you also have 3 times more people than you need to do something. All of those people now lost their jobs rather than a few. It's just. There's a point where you need to run efficiently. If you don't, you can't subsidize everything. And that's where we're going with this country. Everything needs a subsidy. Everything needs this because no one can actually make them work on their own. And it's frustrating to see as an American. And you look at Europe and, we're there in a few years. And that's why they can't do anything. They can't get out of their own way.
Yeah. And we are definitely headed in that direction.
Wow.
Terrible.
What does this have to do with Celebrity Apprentice?
I have no idea, but it's
they're unionizing. All of the celebrities are unionizing.
Who are the ones to look for this season? You can't name them all, please.
No, listen.
Give us a few highlights here.
Listen, there's the guys that are solid competitors, and there's the guys that are their impediments.
Oh no!
I think you can look down the list. I mean, solid competitors. You said Penn Jillette, Little John. You got Trace, obviously.
Brett Michaels, who won it.
Yeah, Brett is just a great guy and become a great friend.
Let me pick an albatross.
You got an Omarosa. You got
Stephen Baldwin.
Rodman. You got some guys that are going to get in the way.
Is she nuts, Latoya?
Hey, listen, she's a sweetheart. She's a sweetheart.
This guy's good.
Yeah. Come on.
A lot of crazy people.
Like
nice.
I said, I spend a lot of time with these guys.
I'll find out when I go fly
camera.
fishing with him. He'll tell me about Latoya. As long as the broads aren't around.
The broads.
She seems nuts, though. Come on.
Listen, I think she's probably got a different mentality generally than you or I or whatever. She's definitely out there in some respects, but like I said, there's not a mean bone in her body. She's a good person.
The Jacksons in general seem like that.
Well,
except for the father who beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't know if history would agree with you, but
the rest of them seem like they're pretty nice people. What do we know?
Very cool. When I guess Sunday, right?
Yeah, Sunday.
Starts up Sunday at 9.
NBC.
Very cool, man.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Nice.
Do you have to go to Donut Day now?
Donuts.
Yeah, I think
donuts.
Donuts. Yeah, I need that like a hole in the head, but I think I'll.
What's your favorite donut?
What?
Oof.
Are you a Krispy Kreme guy?
Oh, in terms of company?
Yeah, let's go company first.
I'd say I'm a Dunkin' guy.
Dunkin' Donuts.
D&D.
Yeah.
But
you just give me a cruller, I dip it. What the hell do I know?
Regular Joe.
I don't eat much donuts. It's not my kind of food. I try to avoid those.
Yeah.
Unnecessary.
You try to eat healthy?
I like dinky donuts.
I don't eat healthy. No, I work out hard,
So
but
Joe DiMaggio when they
I'd
once-
much rather have a steak, kind of meal than load up on donuts and then feel guilty for the rest of the day. So I work out hard so I can eat what I want, but it's generally not like
my point
snack
is
junk food.
With kids in the house. There's always
so
treats
hard.
around.
Well, and
I try to keep all that shit out of the house.
I can't waste food.
But now
That's
I
like
can't
my
with
grandmother
kids.
beat that into me, so
Oh,
I
really?
can't waste food. So when the kids, they order this and they order that, and it's just like all of it's left over, and I'm like, okay, I'll finish. Like, it's hard with kids.
Wow.
You really can't waste food.
I have a hard time with it. I have a hard time with it. It was like, you got that guilt trip from like my, Czechoslovakian grandmother. It was like, I didn't spend 2 years hiding in a basement from the Nazis to, I'm just like,
all right, that's a lot worse because I was going to say,
this
my
wasn't
mom, my mom would put the egg timer on and we had to finish our meal every single fucking time. And it was a nightmare. So when I got older, it's so freeing to go boom and throw it in the garbage.
Yeah, it wasn't a requirement per se, but it was definitely made very clear that
that's
you're a
funny.
little brat. And I'm just like, okay, I'll eat all those unnecessary. And her idea of healthy food is like, sure, throw some sour cream on it. It's great for you.
Oh my God.
It's pretty rough.
Did you have to eat crap, like stuff that you didn't really like?
Listen, I grew up with it, so that Eastern European, like heavy, like Germanic food is like, it's right up my alley. So I can eat like that, and that's why I try to avoid the other crap.
Did it make you OCD with money to a certain degree? Not necessarily crazy OCD, but like where it's like some people get very caught up in that when you're a kid. If you're hearing it, where you have, like you said, you fly coach everywhere, and like there's reasonable saving, and then there's that thing where it's just like, oh fuck, I saved a little bit.
I think I probably push it on certain things. Whether again, the flying thing is probably not one of them because it's more of a principle thing than a But listen, I indulge in my hobbies, but I probably I don't spend a lot of money on clothes because I don't give a crap. You know what I mean? I'm just not I'm not one of those guys that has to be the guy wearing the $2,000 shoes. I feel like a jerk off. But I definitely indulge in my my firearms hobby and those kind of things.
Yeah. You're New York resident, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Don't even get me started.
Having any troubles? No, I just wanted to quickly delve into that part of it.
Yeah, no. Well, listen, I don't have any troubles because I'll comply with the laws.
That's what it is, yeah.
I feel like a jerk. You have a 10-round mag to put 7 rounds in it. Because the criminal's going to, he's going to say, oh, crap, I got 10 rounds.
Yeah,
I'm going to take those top 3 off.
I want to comply with the law before I go use this.
So I'll carry a
in a
1911, and I have a lot of 8-round mags for my 1911. I'll make up for it in extra firepower. But, so am I breaking the law by putting 8 rounds into my mag so I can have 1 in the chamber? Because I can have 8 rounds in the gun, but 1 has to be in the chamber. But I can't have an empty chamber with 8 rounds in the mag.
With 8 rounds in the mag.
How stupid are we? Listen, honestly, that was Cuomo acting for the sake of action. The rules that were implemented, and by the way, I'm fine with some of the executive orders. I'm fine with background checks. I'm not a nut with some of these things, but I'm also a competitive shooter. I compete with an AR-15. My teammates are national champions. There's a lot of discipline to this thing, the whole assault weapon. And when you look at the grand scheme of things, how many people in America are killed by assault weapons versus illegal guns? By the way, crack down on illegal guns. People who don't register, by the way, make it really difficult on them. But then you can't do that because then someone's going to say, "Oh, you're disproportionately affecting some community."
Exactly.
And, like, it's nonsense. So the New York stuff is insane. Cuomo acted for the sake. He just wants, when he's running in a couple of years, he wants to say,
"Look what I did.
I'm the first guy to act. Look what I act." Even though he basically prevented police. They didn't think this through.
So
the police
fast.
weren't allowed to have 10 rounds in their magazines. Like, it's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And again, I'm not, against some things within reason. I'm fine with background checks. I'm fine with the mental health stuff. But, you have, people that have kids that have issues, and I trust me, as a parent, I get that. That'd be the worst thing in the world. And, but to crack down on mental health and those aspects, oh my God, you're going to offend some lobby of people who don't want their kids. Like, I get that, but like, don't attack, that's like going after fat people, and saying, well, we're going to ban spoons because, that's what made them fat. Like,
they should ban them. They should ban spoons because people play them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it's gotten ridiculous.
So, I mean, it's gotten sort of
and
ridiculous.
You'll jump through the hoops, and I'll jump through the hoops, and everything will be great.
I'm not willing to go to jail for some of these things, but the guy that you're looking to actually stop, they're not going to follow.
They're not going to comply,
and they're going to do whatever they want. So it's really ridiculous, and it's a shame, and and it's just the first step.
Exactly.
And it's not just about guns. It's probably about everything. And government regulation of this. More people are killed annually by like a factor of 4 or 5 with baseball bats. What, we're going to ban bats?
Yeah.
And if you look at the UK, okay, they banned guns and they banned this, and it's impossible. Guess what? Their violent and vicious crime and their murder rates are higher than us because if someone's that crazy, they're going to do it, and they just get stabbed every day. People just get stabbed and they get hacked up and they get
bludgeonings and strangulation.
You're not going to stop someone from crazy by like eliminating one thing. They're just going to switch what their modus operandi is. So, to institute all these policies against law-abiding citizens for the sake of, action and I guess, listen, I get it. It's hard to say, given what happens and all these things, but you look at the guy that did Newtown. Hey, that fucking kid was crazy. I don't like the stereotype. I get it, but you look at that picture and there's something wrong with him.
That guy's batshit crazy.
And no one wants to talk about video games that he played 8 hours a day and that kid's freaking crazy. It's not. I'm like,
I think the news media also, mainstream news media, how they just plaster the guys' faces all over the place, read their manifestos, make them the heroes, the anti-heroes that they want to be.
Correct.
So the next guy looks and goes, well, I'm a piece of shit, nobody, I want to be famous, I have no ability to do that, but if I do this,
this is my
I'm going to be all over it. Yeah, and the news media never calls themselves out on that.
They also manipulate
aspect.
the statistics so much, and when when these people they're talking about us. Well, this is the just because something aesthetically looks like something doesn't make it
exactly.
You have people that are legislating without any facts. It's like watching the Senate Finance Committee back during the bad banking days a few years ago, where they're asking more Goldman Sachs how many home loans they made. It's like that's not what they do. If you're making $1 trillion decisions, you should at least understand the business model. Just like if you're making gun legislation, you should know the difference between what is and what isn't, and not just arbitrarily spew out facts that sound convenient but have no merit.
The most uneducated people I've ever seen about guns are the anti-gun people. They don't know anything. They don't know an automatic from a semi-automatic. They don't know rifles from shotguns. They're really uneducated.
Well, and when they're talking about some of the aesthetic things that you can put on an AR, the vertical grip. Well, that makes it much more deadly.
Look out, more deadly. Stop.
Man, you guys should get a room.
Oh, it's great.
We're going to make out later. It's going to be fun. All right, guys, I got to go do Daddy Donut Day. I apologize, but I look forward to being back on soon.
Cool, this was great. Donald Trump Jr.
You guys. And Ope.
We're going to do it.
All right.
Open invite.
I told you, Roland has all of my contact information.
I think we exchanged, didn't we?
Yeah, you have it. You're just pretending you don't.
No, I'm not pretending. We're going to do this. I'm gonna write Rich today and set up my little. Oh, I do have Rich's number too. Yeah. I'm gonna text him right now.
We'll go float. Listen, it opens April, but I'd say let's go in May when it's get a little bit better. Some of those
April's
early days can be cold and painful. It can be good, but it's
cold though, right?
It can suck.
We floated last time. It was nice.
Yeah,
just
it's a good way to spend a day
on the river for 8 straight hours. You wouldn't like that, right, Jimmy? We had one sandwich.
All I would think of is how bad I had to shit. I
didn't have to shit.
I cannot do anything outdoorsy.
Oh my God!
You have no idea.
On that note, I'm out. Good seeing you guys.
I hate that.
All right, listen, Celebrity Apprentice Sunday night at 9 o'clock at NBC. Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.